Welcome to the Epic Success Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Shannon Irvine. We are diving into really creating a brand and a message that is authentic to you. And I think given everything that's going on right now, authenticity and understanding your voice, how your brand resonates with the world, how you can get your message and mission out there, and the things that you care most about, right? The things that make you you, that your tribe, your people will resonate with, the things you take a stand on, the things that are important to you, and also, most importantly, the things that will help transform your clients. So today, I am bringing forward three amazing entrepreneurs that I had the opportunity to interview during a past Rise virtual series. First up is Rachel Perry. Rachel helps those who are building their first businesses really learn how to niche and how to communicate their message. Next up is Jen from Generation PR. She is the gal who taught me how to get seen and heard on Forbes and in Entrepreneur Magazine and getting video time out in the news channels. So how do you, once you know who you're speaking to, how to speak to them and you build your brand, how do you get it out to the world? That's Jen's contribution to this conversation. And then finally, Scott Voelker, dear friend of mine, has shifted all his Amazon selling over to this brand building business because he has been the master at helping people build authentic brands online that can really transform. I know you really want to get your message and your mission heard and seen. You've got to get it communicated well. We have to build a brand that is authentic to us, and then we have to get it out to the world. So I think these three amazing entrepreneurs are just the perfect people to talk to right now and getting the right message out with the right vision, the right mission at the right time. So here we go. I hope you enjoy. First, we have Rachel Perry, who is the queen of direct selling mastermind. She helps people in direct selling try to really upgrade their worth and their wealth. Let's just dive right in. Rachel, I'd love to turn the panel over to you and ask for you to just share what's anchoring you, where you're at, and how you're helping your tribe rise above this.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here, Shannon. This is awesome. This is really awesome what you're doing. You know, this has been a really tough few weeks for everyone, especially, really for everyone. Let's be real. Like having our kids home from school every day, that is tough. But not just that. Everyone's like, yeah. But not just that, just kind of, there is so much anxiety out there. There's so many, everyone's on edge. It's tough. My audience, they are direct sellers. And their questioning right now is like, is it okay for me to sell? So they're primarily selling products, not so much their business too, the business opportunity, but it's a weird time, right? Like, so they're all struggling with whether or not it's okay to sell because people are really struggling right now. People are being laid off. People life has changed as we know it, and it happened overnight. And there's also that extreme anxiety that they're dealing with. So when all this happened, I decided, you know what, I'm going to just do a 5-day series, a video series, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about, is it okay to sell your product right now? How do I sell my product right now? Is it okay to share my business? All of that, because those were all the questions they were having. And there was one day where I woke up, like one night I couldn't sleep. I woke up in the middle of the night and I couldn't go back to sleep. And I just felt so heavy on me that I needed to kind of pivot even from that training that had not been planned. I mean, I obviously planned it before I went live, but I felt so heavy on my heart that I needed to really just confront their anxiety. We needed to talk about their anxiety. We needed to talk about ways to deal with it and just to give them permission to feel the way they were feeling. Because I think that there's so much happening right now, and these are feelings that we're having all the time, all day, every day, even those of us who struggle with anxiety, you know, when there isn't a pandemic happening. it's hard. You read the news and you're feeling anxious again, or you read a post on Facebook and suddenly you're feeling anxious again. And sometimes you don't even know what's triggering that feeling, right? And so we did this during this 5-day series. That Wednesday, I just completely pivoted and talked about how to deal with their anxiety so that they could be freed up to focus on their business. I didn't know I cannot even tell you how strongly I felt that push. And it was huge and tremendous, because that's what people needed to hear. They needed to, number one, be given permission that it was okay to feel this way, right? And that it was normal and that it's to be expected, and then how to deal with it. And to say, you know what, we're going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It's not a fun process, being stuck at home with your kids all day long and having to teach them and run a business, but it can be done. And you can work your business right now. You don't have to stop your business because you have an opportunity here. So we just did that training. And you know what I did, Shannon? I also, this was also not planned. I actually opened up registration enrollment for my membership at the end of that week, because I felt like that was the best opportunity for a lot of these girls to come in and have that community that they're just craving so much right now. So I did that. It went well. But really, I think the main focus for what's happening now, what happened last week, is just completely serving. And that's what I told my girls, my audience is, you've got to serve. Right now, you don't focus necessarily on your product and all of that. Focus on serving and sharing, and serve and share and serve and share and serve and share. And what you're building now is going to come back at you tenfold when things settle down, because people see that you're reaching out to them. They see that you're connecting with them. People are craving this connection right now. I've seen such a change in that. I don't know if you guys would agree, but the connection that people want, people can't leave their houses. Y'all, I seriously thought about like going to hang out with my mailman today. And then I realized that is not appropriate and that we do need to social distance. But people miss that, even the introverts, right? We miss that connection. I read an article the other day, like, crave each other. We want that community. We want to be together. And so I think just leaning into that, giving that opportunity to your audience to connect with you and to teach them to connect with their audience is tremendously helpful right now.
I love that, Rachel. So how have you been kind of handling the juggling act? Because like me, you have kids, you have business, you have all the things. A lot of us here on the panel do. And if you don't have kids or you're single, it's still, it is a lot, it's different. So how are you handling? Because I think one of the questions I got a lot after the last panel was, am I doing okay? Like, how is everybody else handling this? Because we're, typical Instagram, we're showing like, oh, look at me, and so like, I know that's not you. I'd love to hear what you're handling today.
It's not me.
It's not.
No, I am killing it. We have a schedule and we do school every day. And I also massively am amazing at my job at the same time. All that is a lie. It is a hot mess up in here. Okay. I'm going to admit right now, my kids have been on electronics entirely too much. Okay. And yesterday I decided, okay, guys, we are going to do school. Okay. And it's going to be amazing. And I have 3 kids and all 3 of them were like, hey, Mom, what do I do now? Mom, what do I do now? Mom, what do I do now? And I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. So I'm not juggling it really well. I've decided that, tomorrow, Friday is going to be the day that I spend 30 minutes with them. No, I'm just kidding. I'll spend more than that. But I think giving ourselves permission to not be a homeschooling mom, an amazing entrepreneur who's rocking it out in every area of her business, or his business, cooking dinner. I mean, y'all, I have never cooked as much as I'm cooking now, and I don't like to cook. So I think we just have to give ourselves this permission that we're all doing the very best that we can. This is a tremendous adjustment. And and it's okay. My kids will survive. They will survive. I mean, they might, I don't know what's going to happen with all the electronic usage they have, but we're all doing the best that we can. And we don't have to I think we need to let go of these, this expectation that we have to be these perfect parents and teachers and all, because y'all, it's just not possible. especially if you have kids that have all these different schedules and you have to, now we're managing their schedules and their appointments and all of that. And it's just a lot.
Yeah. Thank you for being real. We're all having that guilt of like, we want to be that perfectionist. We want to be like, we want to, because we had it all handled differently than now. And so I love that you're just saying, yeah, I'm being real and having realistic expectations. And that means in all areas. And, I love that, Rachel. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Jennifer Berson is here. She is the queen of PR. She helps people get seen and heard in the media. Jen, I would love for you to talk about what's going on for you with your kids. We've been having fun watching you get crawled all over during this live, and your cat and all the things. And PR is going through the roof. I mean, just full disclosure, Jen's in our Inner Circle Mastermind. We do our events together. She got up and spoke. She gave a process. I said, okay, what do we do when somebody's done something well? You follow their process. So I followed the process. And I just I think the article that came out on Forbes is their highest downloaded article of all time for the women's. Like, I don't know why that is. I'm not sure.
Oh my God.
It's such a time as this, right? And it was great. It's not me. I'm not some superpower person. I just followed your process and I got my message out in front of the people who needed to hear it. And that's the same thing with marketing. So I'd love for you to jump in and share, and then we'll wrap up with Colin. And then for those who can stay and want to answer questions, we'll answer your questions and then we'll wrap up. So Jen, I would love for you to share what you're seeing. What's the landscape? What does it look like? How are people getting seen and heard right now?
Yeah. Oh my God. That's so awesome. I was so excited when I saw, we were texting about it and you were like, what do I do? And I'm like, just be you. And I was so excited that you had that lead and followed the process. And like I said, in our retreat, it's just a lot more simple than you think it is. I wanted to actually, I wrote thoughts. So I wanted to sort of start and first say that I want to thank you, Shannon, for putting these together. This is the second panel, but when you rallied so quickly with that first panel, it served as such an inspiration to me because I was feeling really kind of aimless, like this is all happening to me. This is happening for all of us at the same time. And then I saw you spring into action to serve, and something clicked in my mind immediately. And Tyler did the same thing, Tyler McCall in our mastermind. And I just said, you know what? I feel that I have something to give and something to add value, and I'm here to serve. So I did just that, and I kind of sprung into action with my community. So I help agency owners, PR and social media marketing agency owners, to grow and scale profitable agencies. And I knew so many of my community were losing clients or fearful of losing clients. And I just felt like, what could we do to support them right now? And my entire focus shifted to helping them as much as I possibly could to weather the storm and survive, have their businesses survive and also thrive during this time of economic uncertainty. And like my business, I've had my agency for 15 years. So we kind of survived the 2008 recession, and our business was busier than ever. And during that time, and I started to think about what we were doing to help our clients also survive that time. And so much of what it was about visibility and keeping their companies, their products and services top of mind when everyone else was pulling back. And during that time, our clients were the ones that really kind of survived and stayed ahead of the curve and captured market share ahead of their competitors. So I wanted to give my audience a lot of hope. Like, this is possible. Like, it's really possible to have a thriving business right now. We are bringing in new retainer clients. We just signed a retainer client in the middle of March, in the middle of all this. And when they signed their retainer, I was like, are you sure? Like, you sure that you want to get started right now? And they were like, absolutely, now more than ever. And so I've pivoted to support my audience with how they can see this as an opportunity. And I love the distinction Tiffany made about not opportunistic, but it's an opportunity to serve. And our audiences need what we have to offer. And what I was seeing my agency owner audience feeling was afraid to charge for their services, or afraid to send out their retainers, their monthly invoices to their clients, afraid to go after new business. They felt like, everybody is suffering right now. So how could I possibly charge for what it is that I have to offer? And we discussed it, and I said, you should not feel bad for adding so much value to your clients. There are clients out there looking for exactly what you have to offer, and they know, or you can help make them aware that what value you bring could help them survive this really challenging time. There is somebody out there looking for what it is that you have to offer. And I didn't need to be the one to give them permission, but just having that discussion opened their eyes to say, you know what, I shouldn't feel so bad about trying to, sustain and grow my business and asking to be paid for the value that I bring to my clients. And for me, just pivoting in that way and giving kind of immense value, like realizing that there was something that I could give, gave me a sense of purpose. And that gave me a sense of control again. Like, this is not just happening to me, but all of this is happening. Bye, Michael. All of this is happening kind of for me right now, in a new way that I can serve. And we actually, who said that? Oh yeah, Michael just left. So we actually put together like a PR professionals COVID support bundle and put it out there as a free opt-in, and sharing all the best practices we were seeing from media, showing our audience, look, they still want to hear from you. You shouldn't be afraid to pitch. And now you're seeing too, Shannon, like media wants to hear from us right now. And however you can lend your expertise, there are great opportunities to have media help share, what you know how to do so that you can help a greater audience. And that's what I realize is, like, the more that we put our services out there and help businesses from an agency perspective, we're helping them survive this time. Or the more that you pitch yourself to the media right now and you don't have that fear, like, oh, they're not going to want to hear from me because they're only talking about these topics. Either figure out how you can lend your voice to those topics, or have that confidence now, because the other thing we're noticing is that people are more accessible than ever. They don't have the distractions of offices, and it's not business as usual. They're kind of accessible, like people you may have been intimidated to reach out to are really open to receiving. They're craving connection, community, and they want to hear from you. So that's something else that we're noticing is, like, pitches are getting received left and right. We had the biggest months for our clients last month, media-wise, in months, just sort of fitting them into what media is really kind of considering and talking about right now. So just have that confidence to know that it's a great time to be reaching out. And then on the other side of it, you asked about like home life and what's happening. I've been working from home for 15 years. So I feel like guys, like what, all of us have been working from home for a while here too. But all of a sudden, all these people are like in my world, that has gone out the window. I mean, we've had 3 weeks to try to lock this in, and our kids are like, this is not happening the way that you think that it should. And we've had to just kind of roll with it and be okay that we are not going to be perfect at this. And my husband's an entrepreneur too. And now he's here, he's working from home. And sometimes there's 4 of us on Zoom video calls at the same time. I've got my 2nd grader, my 3rd grader, my husband and I are all like taking up internet bandwidth on these Zoom calls. And we just have to kind of say, you know what, it is what it is. My house is a disaster. And we're just doing the best that we can. And not beating ourselves up over it. And so it's just kind of like a new normal. And like you said, Shannon, taking a lot of walks with our family, getting outside and just feeling really like trying to reframe it as this really just grateful moment right now. We're healthy, we're safe, we have, businesses that allow us this flexibility. And, that's kind of all the questions you asked me answered there. So.
I love it. Is there for somebody who's never put anything out there on the media, what would you say their first step should be toward researching what's available in terms of putting themselves out there? And of course they can DM you. What's like one way they can jump in and say, what are the the media outlets that are available to pitch to?
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to consider that every media outlet is available to pitch to. And like I shared in the mastermind discussion and in Colin's program too, it kind of starts with when you're consuming media. If you're listening to podcasts, you're, reading these articles that resonate with you, start to make a note of that in your head. Like, what about it resonates with you? And you start to see where you can lend your expertise, what publications or topics would be a good fit for what it is that you cover and where you can add value. And like, I don't want people to feel overwhelmed with like the entire world of opportunity out there. But if you just hone in on like 2 or 3 podcasts or websites or online versions of print magazines, wherever you read anything to yourself, I really could add a lot of value here. I think that their readers would benefit from what it is that I have to say, or I can fit in with what is being talked and discussed in the media right now. I have a perspective that's helpful. And knowing that you're fitting in with what they are vying to cover, what they want to know about, and where you can kind of lend your expertise to the stories and the value that they're giving to their readers. And then, you follow the plan where it's very simple of you start to see who's writing what topics, make a note of those editors, those journalists, and start to engage with them on social in like a very sort of organic way. You're sharing their content, you're tagging them, you're letting your audience know what it is about those articles or the tips that you found useful. And what that does is it allows that editor or journalist to see you engaging with them, and they appreciate it. I mean, they're putting out content. They're not making a ton of money doing this. They're writing a lot of content, and they want to see that they're adding value and people are getting something from it. So when you share that, it's like a genuine connection, and you're giving your, showing your appreciation and sharing their voice with your audience. And then when you start to pitch and you position your pitch to them in a way that is adding value to them and their audience, it's not all about you and what you can get. I mean, obviously you're featured in Forbes. That's a huge thing for you. That's a big deal. But you didn't come at it like, this is the benefit to me. It's, I would like to share this proven framework with your audience so that they can overcome these challenges during this difficult time. It's like, how could an editor who's also seen you being so selfless and giving in social media, sharing their content, of course they're going to want to say, let's hear what you have to offer. So it's about fitting in with what they're already covering and having that kind of hit of clarity. Like, I really need to lend my voice here. I really think that I can add value, and then going after those like hits of inspiration.
And one of the hacks that I took, integrity is a huge value for me. And alignment. Like, I don't care about getting media. I care about serving. Like, I think you get that picture from everybody here today. So what I did is there are 2 or 3 magazines that I read. That's where I wanted to be. I want to be where I'm drawn to. It's your vibe attracts your tribe, right? So, and what I did is I just started going like, what articles am I pausing at and who's writing them? Because if I'm pausing at them, that means they're hitting me kind of where I'm at, which means I already have a connection with their messaging, meaning we're aligned. There's alignment there. And so that was the thing. Like, all of a sudden I noticed that the same author, who just happened to be an editor, was writing, like, I probably had 10 of her articles saved. And I was like, I'm already like a fan of this person writing and her thinking. So it was so genuine to, after that relationship got developed, do the pitch, but the pitch had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with her and with her genius in the world. And like, hey, I can help here, but I was not expecting the relationship that came out of that. Like, it's just crazy. And I loved it because had that not happened, had I not gone through that extra effort or whatever, it wasn't effort. I was already reading the articles. Right. Yeah. And so had I not done that, like, we've created a relationship. She's coming on my podcast because she's launching a book. And so, and she's got a great message, and we need to be lifting each other up. Like, we think it's like them versus us. Like, we're here, they're there. But in my opinion, it was like, I can serve you. I've got a platform. Let me help your book get out and your message get out and be open and generous. And like, it was really good. So thanks for that.
And now you have like an ongoing relationship. This isn't like a one and done deal for you. Like, now you're going to be a trusted trusted source,
Yeah.
and could possibly have a platform where you're being featured again and again. And now you are the, recurring expert on this platform. And that's how we always try to look at it, is being a trusted source. When you're responsive and you give great tips and insight and you're meeting their deadlines and you're the one that's really adding so much value and helping them do things quickly, they're going to keep coming back to you. And we always look at it like, how can you keep these relationships going and be a repeat customer, essentially? And sounds like you're doing just that. I mean, I'm not at all surprised that you guys are like besties and promoting each other's businesses so genuinely now.
But
That's
it is
so
funny
awesome.
too, how my brain went to, because of the way I think and because I know our thoughts create our futures. I'm like, all right, Oprah, let's go. Like, I'm ready. Like I was leaning into that. I'm like, whoa, slow your roll. Like, not that I won't, and I still will, and I do. And that's how everybody asks, like, have you had all these amazing, whatever, relationships, whatever. It is because like I give, and then that's not me trying to get, that's me who I am. Like, that's who I am. And then it returns because it returns. And that's the law of sowing and reaping in the Bible. Like, you just put it out there, you sow, don't expect anything to come back. Just give. And so that's been pretty amazing. Jen, thank you so much for that. And Scott Voelker from the Amazing Seller, but really what Scott does is he helps you build a brand. I mean, truly from the inside out, build a brand. And he's a genius at that. You straddle some interesting worlds because your history certainly brought on, so many Amazon retailers and teaching them how, but in the pivot, since you've written your book, Take Action Effect, and really helping people build brands, I'd love for you to talk about you and your family, what's happening there, because you're in the homeschooling boat with us, I know. And how are people building brands? What are you sharing with your tribe right now?
First and foremost, I mean, my life's been turned upside down too. I've had so many things happen, personal level, business. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that I've been dabbling in over the past, decade. But, I've been helping physical product businesses for probably around 4.5, 5 years now. And my whole thing has been, you can't rely on one channel. And that has been because Amazon has gotten more competitive and people are building businesses on one platform and then it goes away because Amazon just decides to get cranky or whatever, right? So that's fine. So now that this is all kind of happening, it started when China was hit with it, and then they weren't letting inventory come into the States. So now people that have a hero product, right? They built their business on one hero product. They had a selfie stick that went and it started to do really well and they did $1 million. They can no longer get those selfie sticks. I'm being kind of funny. There's a lot of great products, but basically a lot of times people will get that one hero product. It'll be a 7-figure product and they'll bank on that because it's kind of like, they're kind of addicted to the Amazon game. And so I seen that coming just with competition coming in and everything. But when this hit now it was all of a sudden like, oh my gosh, like, okay, this is what Scott was talking about. This isn't even like competitors coming in. This is like, there's a virus. They won't let me have my inventory. So my business is stopped overnight. What am I going to do? So I've been trying to prepare people for not this, but not being dependent on one channel or one source of revenue. Let's just say that. So for me personally, I've seen their physical product business. And now that we've been really positioning ourselves and you've been part of it, the reason why I wrote my book, The Take Action Effect, is because of this right now, what's happening right now. I look at this, we're going to basically look back. We're going to go, oh yeah, I remember that time that happened. What happened as a result of that to me that changed my life? And we always like to focus on the negative, but what positive came out of it? What was the thing that I had to creatively do now? For me personally, last year was my first ever live event. Okay, we had about 250 people come. Scary as heck. I was nervous as heck. Wrote a book, bought an Airbnb, did all kinds of crazy stuff last year. And now this year, getting ready to do it again in September. And guess what? We're going to have to decide if we're going to keep this event on. And so everything has changed in the world of online, offline, in just every walks of life. So for me personally, I'm just looking at it as, I always look at this as like, this is that moment that it forced me and forces all of us to think outside the box. we're going to probably come up with a way to do virtual events online that aren't like virtual summits, right? They're going to be like literally groups that we can organize people. We can have DJs. We can have like all of this cool stuff that we can bring in. I think it's going to change that. And for the ones that want to go with it, I think it's going to benefit the people that can't attend a live event, but then the people that want to put on a virtual event and not have the, oh my gosh, I'm on the hook for $100,000. Or Stu, I was listening to you the other day talking about like 350K or something. It's like, yeah, that's real numbers, right? And the hotel is going to get paid regardless, because you're on the hook for it. You got to fill rooms and all of that stuff. So I look at it as that's one of those moments that right now is what I call a take action moment. This is your time to look at the situation and not necessarily look at the negative, but look at the positive. What can we learn from this, and what will this force me to do that I wouldn't have done before because I was either complacent, or I was just kind of comfortable, or Amazon isn't going to really do that to me. I'm invincible, but here it is, right? So it's the time now to let this be a wake up call. And for the ones that are watching or that have listened to me for any period of time, and you've been hearing me say, you need to build diversification. You need to build external traffic sources. You need to build, external revenue outside of just that one platform. This is what I was talking about. Like, not that this is, but this type of situation. So for me personally, and I'll just kind of be upfront with everyone here. I last year bought an Airbnb, lake house Airbnb. It's awesome. It's a high-end one, so it's not like just like a standard Airbnb. It's been a great investment. But guess what? People aren't going to be booking right now, and I got to pay the bills, right? So it is what it is, right? Now, luckily, last month, we had a really good month, so I'm actually going to be able to ride some of that money over to the next month, and fingers crossed, my bookings that are there now are going to stay there, but who knows? But I'm a big believer in controlling what we can control and working on a solution for what is next, or what we think is going to be next. Just like Dory had said, we have a launch coming up next week, April 6th, right? For our membership. And, went back and forth. Should we, shouldn't we? I don't know. But then it really comes down to positioning, as far as like, how are you positioning the offer? Is it going to be, and I can relate with what Stu's saying. Like, if you recorded those videos 6 months ago, you might want to come in and mention this in just a little bit, just because if not, it's kind of like, well, wait a minute, does he even know? Like, what's going on? So I think it is important to be relevant to the time that we're in and address it. But also for me, it's a way for me to be like, this is kind of what I was talking about. So let's learn from this. Let's not beat ourselves up, but let's learn from this. Let's let this be that time that we actually say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and make this move. If I am dependent on one channel, I'm going to get a second and a third. Right? If I haven't started yet because my job was kind of there and I want to get out, but do you really want to get out? Right? You've been thinking about it for 2 years, right? Let's do it, and let's stop, thinking about it, and let's take action and actually put something in motion so we can have a chance. And no, I'm not saying you're going to do something right now and it's going to automatically start bringing in cash, but at least you'll be ahead of the curve and you can start something and start building on that. So that's kind of where I'm at with everything. I mean, my people right now, I've been doing every single day for the past week. I've been showing up at 10 a.m. I'm doing coffee with Scott. I'm calling it kind of the take action moment, morning kind of thing. Like we sit right here. I have my coffee and we talk for like 15, 20 minutes. And I bring up one thing that they can actually do today. And so honestly, for me, it's forcing me to do something that I've been wanting to do a long time. I've been wanting to do not just talk about e-commerce. I want to talk about like real life stuff, like how to become a better you, like how to get yourself to do stuff when you're not really wanting to do it because you're afraid and you're fearful. I mean, we're all fearful. You know what I mean? Like, we're all fearful of something. It's just different things, right? Like, we all have different lives. We all have different things. And just one other thing I want to throw in there, like putting this into perspective, I just had a good friend of mine who literally, I mean, he's a godfather of one of my kids. And he helped me build my house when I was 24 years old. Just a real great guy, and just got diagnosed with ALS about 3 months ago. And so he's got a 2-year window, maybe, if things go okay, and it's not really the best of the 2 years. So when I think about like this, it sucks, but it's not a life sentence, right? Like, some people, it could be, right? It could be, and I pray and hope that, people stay in, like, listen to what they're saying so we can kind of control this. But to a lot of people, it's not that, and it's a bump in the road. But when that happened to my friend, who I just got off the phone with yesterday, because I'm going to make it a point, like I'm going to like really show up for him. I'm really going to be there for him. I love the guy with all my heart. But I look at that and I go, wait a minute. So you're afraid to start your business because you think it might fail? Okay. Right. Like, what are we going to learn from that experience versus am I declining the next visit when I meet with my doctor of my strength in my arms, right? Am I going to then lose my mobility? Am I not going to be able to speak? Like, we all know what ALS does to you. So that's kind of where I am. Like, I'm definitely the one that's on the positive side. I'm like, you know what? Like, people will start coming, they're crying about, I'm like, okay, listen, time out. Can't control that. Don't listen to the news, right? Like, I haven't watched the news once. I hear enough from everyone else. Why do I got to watch the news? I know what's happening, right? Like, people tell me. But yeah, I'm just, I think it's really important to someone that you look up to or that inspires you. And I think we all kind of, as leaders, you would say like, well, I can't start my business because James is already doing the how to get your make a 7-figure business. I can't do it. That's crap. Because people like James, people will like, Dory, people will like any of us if they resonate with that person. And so just because the idea has already been out there doesn't mean you can't do it. So I just encourage anyone that's watching this, believe in yourself and just go for it. Right now, you've got time, right? So just put your stake in the ground and go for it. I'm all over the place, but I'm making it happen. We're gonna get through this, all of us. Right?
I love it. I mean, your book is so timely right now, and it's moving in that place of taking action and moving forward. Well, I hope that you really benefited deeply from this conversation, that you took away one or two things that have inspired you to action. My friend Scott Voelker, who was on the interview, he has the Take Action Effect book. And really, ideas are just ideas. I hope this podcast is a catalyst for you to take that idea and put it into action. So what I want to know from you today out on the socials, on the interwebs, and on the grams is, what one thing from this podcast are you going to do to further your brand? I would love for you to tag me on that and tag the person that inspired it. And I hope to be able to watch as you really build this authentic brand that aligns with you, aligns with what you care for, and get your message and mission heard and seen in the marketplace. All right, that's what I have for you this week. Tune in next week to the Epic Success Podcast, where we're going to be shifting gears a little bit and heading back into really building our business from the inside out. Until then, have a great week. Bye for now.